Hello everyone, this is Mr. Lipchick, and today we are going to discuss our First Amendment freedom of religion. All right, the First Amendment to the Constitution guarantees that people have the right to practice the religion of their choice or to practice no religion. The Founding Fathers are very aware of the disorder and strife that can be caused when government and religion are intertwined. In their recent memory were the 30 Years' War in Germany, which killed one-third of the entire population when Protestant fought Catholic over the issue of religion. The English Civil War, in which factions of Protestants fought for control of the nation. And the French Wars of Religion, in which Huguenots and Catholics fought in a very bloody war. In fact, Paul Revere's parents were Huguenots, and they brought him from France to escape religious persecution. The First Amendment guarantees the freedom of religion through two clauses. The Establishment Clause, which states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, and the Free Exercise Clause, which prohibits the government from unduly interfering with the free exercise of religion. These clauses have been the subject of many court cases and debate regarding their meaning. Religion has always been an important part of public life in the United States. Churches do not have to pay taxes, which encourages their growth. Servicemen and women have access to chaplains in the military. And opening sessions of many legislatures, I should say, begin with prayer. Not legislators, but legislatures, my mistake there. And oaths of office are usually taken on a Bible, although they do not have to be. Questions regarding the Establishment Clause, or the main question regarding the Establishment Clause is, what is the proper distance of government from religious activities? Religion is so pervasive in the life of people that it's difficult to separate it sometimes, and that is why we have this Establishment Clause. We need to define at what point is it unconstitutional for the government to be involved. The determination of how far the government should be involved with religion has been decided by several landmark cases. In Everson versus the Board of Education in 1947, a court challenged to a New Jersey law allowing the state to pay for busing of students to religious schools. It was decided in favor of the religious schools. The Supreme Court ruled that the law was constitutional as the state was providing a benefit to students rather than directly helping a religion. And since the Everson decision, most states not only provide transportation to religious schools, but many other services as well. In the Board of Education versus Allen in 1968, the Supreme Court ruled that state government could provide secular, meaning non-religious, textbooks to religious schools. I was a Catholic school principal at one point, and we would meet with the public school counterparts, and we would arrange to get books and equipment and things like that. In Lemon versus Kurtzman in 1971, there was a Supreme Court decision that overturned a Maryland law allowing direct state payment to religious school teachers teaching secular subjects. And this established what became known as the Lemon Test for constitutionality for state aid to church schools. Number one, must have a clear, secular, non-religious purpose. Two, in its main effect, neither advances nor inhibits religion. And three, avoids excessive government entanglement with religion. Other school funding cases. Knorr versus Allen in 1983, the Supreme Court ruled a Minnesota law allowing parents to deduct school expenses such as textbooks and transportation from their income tax to be constitutional. That is, parents of private school students, religious school students. It was held to be constitutional because children in all schools, the parents of children in all schools, could take advantage of this, whether it was public, private, or religious. In Mitchell versus Helms in 2000, the court ruled that taxpayer funds could be used for library books, audiovisual equipment, as long as they were not used for religious purposes. So, going back to my experience as a religious school principal, we got computers from the government, from the intermediate unit, but we had to use them only for secular purposes. Prayer in public school cases. In McCollum versus the Board of Education in 1948, it challenged a program in the public schools in which religion teachers came to the school and taught religious subjects to students who wanted it. The Supreme Court ruled it was unconstitutional because the facilities and the classes the facilities in which the classes were taught were maintained with taxpayer monies. And Zorrock versus Clausen, the court ruled a New York City program that released students to go elsewhere for religious instruction was constitutional because it was carried out in private facilities. In Engel versus Vitale, the court struck down a non-denominational prayer composed by the New York Board of Regents for reading in the schools. It stated, "It is no part of the business of government to compose official prayers." In Abington School District versus Schempp and Murray versus Kirtland in 1963, the ruling banned school-sponsored prayer and Bible reading in public schools. The teachers conducting these activities were paid with public tax dollars, and that's the key to where the doctrine really stands right now. It cannot be led by a teacher or a school employee. Students can do it on their own, as we will see in the next slide. The Equal Access Act of 1984 allows public high schools receiving federal funds to permit student religious groups to hold meetings in the school. In Westside Community Schools versus Mergens in 1990, the Supreme Court ruled that the law was constitutional because the meetings were student-led and student-initiated. As long as they're not organized by the principal or a teacher or another employee or adult affiliated with the school, they are okay. Cases involving the theory of evolution, which many fundamentalists disagree with. In Epperson versus Arkansas in 1968, the court voided a law that banned the teaching of evolution in public schools. In Edwards versus Aguillard in 1987, the court struck down a law requiring the teaching of creationism alongside the teaching of evolution. So basically, the rulings in regards to evolution have been favorable towards the teaching of evolution. There was a case in Dover, Pennsylvania, a number of years ago, where the school board wanted the staff to teach what do they call it, guided evolution or something like that, which had a religious basis or religious overtone, and it too was ruled unconstitutional. Okay, the Supreme Court has consistently ruled that religious practices may not be used to violate criminal laws. In Reynolds versus the United States in 1879, the court upheld the conviction of George Reynolds for polygamy, that is, having more than one wife. The state of Utah, where they have a very large Mormon population, was admitted to the Union under the condition that they would make polygamy illegal. Okay, so it was illegal at this time. In Jacobson versus Massachusetts in 1905, it upheld mandatory vaccinations for students even if the parents objected on religious grounds. Clearly, if a student isn't vaccinated, they can be a danger to other students and themselves. In Wisconsin versus Yoder in 1972, the court ruled that Amish parents could not be forced to send their children to public school after 8th grade. This was a landmark ruling because I knew of many people in the 1950s who went to school with Amish kids. They were at one point compelled to go to public school. The court ruled that to do so would undermine long-held religious beliefs. Requiring students to salute the American flag in opening exercises has conflicted with the religious beliefs of some families. In Minersville School District versus Gobitis in 1940, Jehovah's Witnesses parents challenged the expulsion of their children for not saluting the American flag. It violated their belief of not bowing down to a graven image. The court ruled against them, claiming it was not a violation of religious freedom. The state of West Virginia used the Gobitis decision to create a law levying fines and criminal penalties for children and their parents who do not salute the flag. The law was contested in West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett in 1943. In this case, the court did not follow precedents and ruled that the religious freedoms of the students had been violated. When the court recognizes that it's an error, it will change its ruling. So it did so in this case. Okay, that concludes our discussion of freedom of religion. I look forward to seeing you in the live lessons. Be sure to have a great day.